What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It is I, the Goof, and we've been hearing a lot, off and on, for a while about the Switch successor. I don't like calling it Switch 2. We don't know what it's going to be called. It will be a successor, and I think that's pretty accurate, and that is why I tend to call it the Switch successor. So, Chris Dring, I've never heard of that name before, claims that, quote, industry whispers around something Switch 2 related is happening this month. So, games industry website journalist Christopher Dring, or is it Dringe? I don't know, has posted on social media platform X, it's Twitter, that he heard industry whispers regarding something Switch 2 related happening this month. Nintendo has so far kept extremely quiet on the subject of the successor to the popular Nintendo Switch console, only promising to share more information on the device before March 2025. As always, this is just a rumor, so we have to wait and see what transpires. With industry whispers around something Switch 2 related happening this month, I thought I'd remind everyone of the official list of greatest games consoles of all time. Nintendo Switch, everyone else, I don't get that. So this is all rumor. It's it's nothing. There's no proof to that or anything. He says he hears whispering. Okay, what does that mean? Does that mean he's heard some things that are from trusted sources? Whispers, murmurs from trusted sources? One of the things that I have read on Twitter is that people believe it's probably a trailer. If you remember, the original Switch had a trailer. So we're thinking the new Switch will have the successor will have a trailer. And it could be this month. We could see a trailer for it, and then early next year, maybe something bigger. Keep in mind, we just last month we just had two directs that were in one, if you recall, and I kind of reacted to it on stream. It was a Indies showcase and a Nintendo Direct, just kind of merged together, one after the other. That was odd. That was not something they've done before. So the question is, why? Why? There's got to be a reason for doing that. Something special. So they're saying, because usually they'll have a direct this month. So last month would have just been one of those directs. It would have either been the indie showcase or the partner showcase. It wouldn't have been a it wouldn't have been a partner direct and a showcase like that. So it seems like they were trying to, get both those out the door at once because they had to have space free this month. Are we going to get some kind of a reveal? No one's saying that it's going to launch this year. No one is saying that, and I'm positive that it's not going to be launched this year. What they'll do is a trailer this month, and then early next year they'll probably have, well, I don't know, early next year or at the end of this year or something. I don't know. You have to realize we have, especially here in the States, we have elections coming up. So what does that mean? We have elections coming up. Well, I think Nintendo might be planning just to get the reveal out of the way this month. Then the rest of the year, they'll probably go silent. And they'll talk about it even more next month. They'll give us a teaser, basically. You know how movies will come out and they'll have a teaser, and it's not much of anything, but then you get a full reveal, a full on trailer. You get a teaser, then you get a trailer. Something that gives you a bit more. They did it with Beetlejuice. I think Nintendo's kind of following that kind of pattern. This month we're going to see a basically just a small teaser. We're gonna see a teaser, and then after the teaser, next time they talk about it, it'll be a full blown either a trailer or they'll have another event where they'll possibly in Japan like they did with the Switch, where they'll properly reveal it. Or if Nintendo wants to save money, they'll just keep it relegated to something small and then they'll televise it over the internet. They'll stream it over the internet. Um, so this video is a two-parter, kind of like what Nintendo did. So now that we've touched on this, I want to talk about what I expect from the Switch 2. Actually, it's not what I expect. It's kind of wishful thinking. It's just sort of talking about what I think would be cool. One idea that's come across my mind before, and I shouldn't have done this stream with gum in my mouth. Kind of annoying. Not stream, but video. Um, it would be cool if they did something like and when I say, listen very carefully, when I say VR, I don't mean mainstream VR. I don't mean Oculus VR type VR. I don't mean any of that. I mean something closer to what the Virtual Boy was. Like, I'm not saying the whole device will be a Virtual Boy. It's not going to be a successor to the Virtual Boy. What I'm saying is it'll have a mode, or I'm not saying it's going to, but it's wishful thinking. Some sort of official VR mode where the games you play aren't like fully immersive. It's kind of the kind of goofy fun experiences we got with the Virtual Boy. Only of course better, much more beautiful, things of that nature. It's wishful thinking on my part. I actually like the Virtual Boy. It was a great idea that was executed poorly, basically. Um, so that's one idea. I get the feeling they're going to have something else you can switch to. It would be funny if they completely threw out the Switch name, but I don't see why they would. I don't think that's a good idea. Um, I'd hold on to it. I do feel that Nintendo took their own time. They pedaled around. Is that the word? They drug their feet, and I think it was a mistake to drag their feet because now we have all these handheld devices. These basically they're like laptops, but without all the laptop features. So we have like the A and Neo or whatever it's called. We have the Steam Deck, so on and so forth. And for all intents and purposes, you can do similar things with them as you can the Switch. You can they have docks. A lot of them have docks. You can dock it and use a wireless controller and use it to play stuff on your television. Actually, you can also dock it and use it with a keyboard as a small computer. I mean, it is a small computer. Um, it is like a laptop PC kind of thing going on there. You gotta go there. Um, I kind of want to speculate on what this next device could be. Um, there's been a lot of filings for patents and whatnot, so that the Switch successor won't have the issues the Switch had with Joy-Con drift, as people are calling it. Let's not call it Joy-Con drift. That would suggest that the whole entire, or like the motion control in the Joy-Con wasn't working correctly, and that's not what it is. It's stick drift. It's analog stick drift, which has been an issue for a long time. Of course, we now have Hall effects sensor thumbsticks now. We have those. And Nintendo could very well just use what exists on the market, but Nintendo doesn't want to pay royalties out to anybody, so they want to figure out a way to make their own version that's different enough. That's why they get the patents out, because it's like, oh, it's the same thing basically, but they're doing it a little differently. That way they don't have to pay anything out to anybody who might own a patent on it. They don't want to have to pay anybody out. So if they come up with their own variation of Hall effect sensors and whatnot, their own design and everything, they can get around that. And I think that's what they're trying to do. That's from what I've seen of the patents and whatnot that have been out. Um, there's also this constant re. I'm gonna say this word. I know it offends people, but you're just gonna have to be offended. There's this constant retardation. That's what I'm calling it. It's retardation that the Switch successor is gonna be 4K. I don't believe that shit for a second. I just don't. And I don't necessarily think 4K is all that important, honestly. Give me 1080p at a steady 60 frames per second, and I'm golden. I feel like we're reaching that peak when it comes to games, right? We're reaching the law of diminishing returns when it comes to visuals and technology. We're reaching that peak. The only place we can go, it's no longer, visual fidelity isn't the thing anymore. Instead, it's stability. I feel like the industry needs to focus on stability, not just, the visual aspect, but like having steady frames a second. Like I'm tired of games switching between resolutions and FPS and everything like that. We shouldn't be dealing with that anymore. That should be a thing of the past. And here's the problem: a console maker could come out with a console with the intent that every game will be the same resolution, the same, how do I say this? The same frames per second and everything, the same refresh rate. They could come out with a console with that intent, but developers are going to do what the fuck they want to do. They're going to take that extra horsepower and try to push better visuals because that's always what they fucking do, even though it's not necessary anymore. They just try to push it even more and more and more. I don't think it's necessary anymore. So even if a console developer, be it Nintendo, Microsoft, or Sony, puts out a piece of hardware and they're like, oh hey, it's gonna every game is gonna be 60 frames per second, everything's gonna be 1080p. But then developers come along and go, we can't guarantee that because we're gonna jam and we're gonna fist as much, polygons and objects on the goddamn screen as possible. We're gonna just fist that right in there, and it's gonna drag down the frames per second and everything, because fuck everybody. That's why, I guess. I don't know, but I feel like that's the problem. We need to focus on stability moving forward. We need to focus on stable frames per second and resolution instead of constantly pushing visuals forward. Visuals are realistic enough, in my opinion. I think we've come a long way. And then there's the fact that, hear me out on this, there's a lot of games being developed, especially by indie developers, that aren't trying to look real. They're not meant to look real. There's I can't tell you. Let's look at the AAA industry right now. Studio after studio being closed down, people losing their jobs left and right, games being canceled. The industry is in turmoil right now. There was a boom during the pandemic because nobody could go anywhere. So there was all this money and investment going in, and these companies weren't sitting back thinking things through. Well, what happens after the short-sightedness? This is a corporate issue. Short-sightedness. They can't see ahead. They have no view forward. They can't look forward. They're very short-sighted on everything. So in their short-sightedness, there's all this investment and everything in studios and more to get games out to people because the market is booming. But then the pandemic ends. People start going out more. Games start being played less and by fewer people. There's a lot of people, they don't play a lot of games, they don't buy a lot of games. So what happens then? Well, we see it in reverse. We see people losing their jobs. So instead of investments and people being hired, we're seeing people being fired. We're seeing companies try to recoup losses and that sort of thing. So, what is the point I'm trying to make of this? It all goes back to the thing that I said about the Switch successor being 4K. It's not going to be 4K. And I'll be awfully surprised if it is 4K. If it is 4K, it's not going to be 4K in handheld mode. It's going to be 4K in television mode, in dock mode, if it's anything like the current Switch. That's the other thing I would like to see, though, a wireless docking type mode. And then you're probably sitting there thinking, what the fuck is he on? What does he mean? I mean, a mode in which it can send audio and visual data wirelessly to your television through like a wireless receiver on the dock. And what would this be good for, you may ask? Dual screen gaming, we could bring it back. Like, here's why the Wii U failed. Well, it was too expensive. You couldn't take it on the go. I feel like that's what happened with the Switch, Switch. The reason, and everything for the Switch was set in place by Satoru Iwata early on. Early on. Mr. Iwata set it up early on before he passed away. So the success of the Switch is on him. It's his last great effort. He saw what was happening. He saw what's happening in the market at the time. I feel like that's something Nintendo needs more of. Paying attention to the market, paying attention to what's going on out in the world. And I don't believe that they do that enough. Um, so what I think is going to happen, what I would like to see happen is basically just, being able to sit there at my TV, connect wirelessly, use the screen and pad. In fact, that's my problem with Mario Maker 2, is that I can't have stuff on the TV while also having things on the screen here with touch controls. Like, I hated building levels in Mario Maker 2. It was not intuitive, it wasn't fun. It was fun on the Wii U. It was an intuitive and fun experience on the Wii U. Super Mario Maker 2 was not fun and intuitive. It was annoying and everything. If you had it docked and you like just wanted to hand a controller and let somebody play it, you couldn't just it didn't work the same way. I have an infection in this ear. Whoa. Keep having to pop the ear, it keeps feeling closed off and everything. I don't know if you heard that or not. Listen, 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 listen. I don't know if you're hearing that. That's crazy. It's an infection. This ear pops. It goes like it's supposed to. This one screams like you can hear it. Kind of. The whole video is supposed to be a Switch successor, and I'm sitting here making my ear scream at everybody like a squirrel. Anyhow, so yeah, we are they're gonna add it. What the point I'm trying to make about the whole Virtual Boy esque option to switch to, or having wireless connectivity to the television to where you can have dual screen games again, is because Nintendo likes to have another hook. They like to do something different. They don't like to just make a more powerful device. That is not Nintendo's MO. They will not just make a more powerful Switch. They're going to add new functionality. I just hope it is practical functionality. Dual screen gaming again, bringing that back, that's practical. Being able to have some way of taking that whatever they make and maybe connecting it into this thing kind of like a Virtual Boy, and then playing semi but very fun VR-esque 3D and stuff. In fact, that's something else they could figure out how to do. They might figure out how to do 3D again, like with the 3DS. I actually love the 3D on the 3DS. I know it wasn't for everyone, but personally, for me, I loved it. It was is great, and I would love to see that come back. But again, like I said, this is just all stuff that I've been thinking of. It's stuff that could happen, if they want to add another hook, and Nintendo has to have a hook. Am I making sense here? Am I making any sense at all? So I don't know who this Christopher Dringe is, or Dring, or whatever his name is. Never heard of him. Never heard of him until now. Uh, but if he's got any trusted sources and he's hearing whispers, um, I'm gonna look out for it, because if there is like a trailer for the next device, and maybe they'll just announce the name. That's probably what they're gonna do. They're probably just going to announce the name of the successor, right? That's probably it. That's probably what's coming. That's probably what's to expect. But tell me what you think in the comments section. I know this is kind of a long video. I didn't mean to make it that long, but do you think Nintendo's just going to make a more powerful device? I don't think so. I think they're going to try and add a hook. They have to have their hook. They have to have something new. There's always got to be something new to hook people, even if it's just something they've done before but haven't done. You know, it's always going to happen. Uh, if they do announce something or have a trailer, I'll react to it. But this has been the Goof. Have a good one, and goodbye.